Good morning. My name is Jamie Cook. I'm a retired engineer from Robins Air Force Base, and I currently work as the STEM coordinator and workforce outreach development for the 21st Century Partnership, an organization responsible for maintaining the military value of Robins Air Force Base near Warner Robins, Georgia. I've been involved in FIRST Robotics for well over 5 years, and if you've been involved yourself, you may have heard my voice as the pit announcer at many of the FRC events. My presentation this morning is about STEM jobs, education to prepare for STEM jobs, and I've entitled it From High School Robots to Adult STEM Jobs. I'm not here in person because of some family issues, but if you have any questions about my presentation, please email me at jcook@robins21.org. Here's an outline of what to expect in this presentation. First of all, I will tell you that the future is ahead of schedule. Time is moving a lot faster than you may think it is, and your future will be on you before you know it. Decisions that you're making right now will have every influence on what your future is going to look like. We'll talk about STEM careers, engineering, science, technologist, technician, all sorts of involvement of STEM in career choices. We'll talk about what the impact is of FIRST Robotics and STEM jobs. We'll talk a little bit about the supply and demand for various STEM jobs, STEM education in the state of Georgia, options that you might have to prepare for those STEM jobs. And as a little extra bonus, we'll talk about secrets to your success. As I said earlier, don't blink. The future is ahead of schedule. Do you remember what you were doing just 5 years ago? Did that seem like just yesterday? Time will start moving faster the older you are. 5 years from now, where do you think you will be? 10 years from now, where do you think you will be? 10 years from now, for you math challenge folks, that's 20 years. Before you know it, 20 years will have passed. It's later than you think. The future is indeed ahead of schedule. Let's start with some foundation. We all know that STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. But have you given any thought to what the particular elements of those are? Well, science is the knowledge that we have of the world around us. What do we know about how the world operates? And we gain that knowledge through experimentation and observation. Mathematics is the study of numbers, relationships, patterns of numbers. We use that for modeling and simulation, probability and statistics. We can predict and we can validate using the principles of mathematics. Technology involves all the tools that we have to make life easier, make life healthier, and to solve the problems of each day. Engineering is using the tools of science, math, and technology to solve technology problems. We design new technology. We can prototype, build, simulate, model, test, and produce new technology. It's a simple fact that you cannot do technology and engineering without science and math. That is why we are so adamant about including STEM with science and math in K-12 education. Having a good foundation in science and math is essential to having a good career, a good job in technology and engineering. In fact, throughout your education, starting in kindergarten, when you first learn to count, maybe add and subtract, simple math, all the way through your elementary, middle, and high school courses, you have been adding tools to your STEM toolbox. whether they were tools of math like trigonometry and calculus, or tools of science like physical science and earth science. You added physics, biology, and chemistry, information science, computer science. Maybe you added some tools of mechanics. You were learning geometry. You were learning other math skills, calculus, natural sciences, and then there was chemistry, meteorology. All of these tools you added year by year into your STEM toolbox that you will use throughout your education and career. Without each of those tools and the foundation you build upon, you cannot get that complete STEM toolbox. For example, if the year that you were studying physics, you decided to blow it off, not really do the homework. You'd rather play basketball or party, whatever kept you from studying physics. Then you try to go on and to do engineering. You will not have the foundation you need to become that engineer, that technologist. You will not have the right tools in your STEM toolbox to effectively be a STEM professional. You need each of those tools in your toolbox. Imagine a carpenter comes to your house to repair your front porch, and you look in this toolbox that carpenter brings, and there's no hammer. And you say, "Carpenter, how can you be a carpenter without a hammer?" And the carpenter says, "Well, the year that we studied hammers in school, I would rather play basketball, video games. I just didn't care about hammers, didn't like the teachers, too much homework, so I never really learned how to master the hammer. But I'm still a pretty good carpenter." Well, that just doesn't make sense. You have to have all of those tools in your STEM toolbox. You have already made an excellent choice by involving yourself in FIRST Robotics. Competitive robotics includes all of the skills that you will need as you go forth in life, your education, and your career. It will teach you how to plan, organize, how to buy things, how to shop for things, how to specify the things that you need. It will teach you how to raise money for the various projects that you want to do. It will teach you how to use eye-hand coordination. As a driver, as a designer, you can build. One of the most important skills is just simple problem solving. Many of you will be involved in coding, programming. Ask yourself how many things in modern life have a foundation in software. It teaches you the foundational skills of electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and a quartermaster, which is kind of a military term for the procurement officer, the one who knows where all the parts are, the one who knows what parts fit where and how to keep up with them, how to inventory them. In fact, Dean Kamen, whose picture is here, you probably recognize him, has said that competitive robotics is the only sport where everyone can go pro. I talk to so many students who say they want to be a professional ball player of some kind. Ask yourself how many career positions are available in a major league sports franchise. Compare that to how many people would like to be a professional sports player. The supply and demand is out of whack for that. But in robotics, the skills you learn, everyone can use those skills in a profession. Let's take a look at the various careers that are available in the area of STEM. First of all, there's engineers. I have some particular interest in that, but there's all sorts of engineers. Electrical, computer, mechanical. You have mechanicals and aerospace. You have industrial engineers, manufacturing engineers, biomedical engineers, chemical engineers, a whole variety of engineering. There are also scientists, and these play a very large, important role in STEM careers and in the technology industries. You can be a computer scientist, a chemist, biologist, physicist. Even mathematicians are considered scientists. And then there's archaeology, medicine, architecture, lots of different sciences that you can study. We'll talk about those supply and demand for those careers in another moment. But you don't have to have a 4-year degree to be a STEM professional. There are all sorts of technology degrees, technology careers, technology opportunities in the STEM fields. There's applied engineering technology, graphics design, simple coding and programming, very strong career opportunities in those areas. And even if you don't want to a 4-year degree, there are 2-year degrees from the technical schools. The state of Georgia has an outstanding technical college system. And you can learn mechanics, diesel mechanics, automotive mechanics. You can learn heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. There's a very large job market for HVAC professionals. The medical field is wide open. There's a shortage of nurses, for nurse practitioners, for physician's assistants, for radiological technicians, and just EMTs. There's a shortage in all of those medical areas. There's a shortage of welders. Welders can make pretty good money using their technician skills that they pick up from the technology college system of Georgia. When you're considering what STEM career to enter to prepare yourself for with education, with internship opportunities, something to consider is the job market itself. We all know the law of supply and demand. When the supply of something is high and the demand is low, prices go down. Imagine having a skill set that is not in demand and a lot of people have it. Well, the salaries for that career field not going to be very high. For example, when I was in high school, a lot of people had rooftop TV antennas. Many of you have probably never seen a rooftop TV antenna. But a classmate of mine's father had a family business, and that's primarily what he sold. They made good money. Having that skill today won't not get you a good job. Rooftop TV antennas. A lot of people might have that skill, but it's not in very much demand. The opposite of that is a skill that's in low supply, that is, it's not very readily available, and there's a very high demand for that skill. Right now, a skill like that might be computer programming. Many companies are desperately seeking computer programmers, coders. Another skill set is electrical engineering. We'll see that shortly. Many of our technologies that are in use today are dependent on sensors, control systems, electronics, computers. And there's just not enough of that skill set to go around. Many of the colleges right now are producing a lot of mechanical engineers, for example, but not a lot of electrical engineers. Low supply, high demand. And obviously, under the law of supply and demand, those prices go up and the salaries go up along with them. STEM skills in general are in high demand. But what's the highest demand? Engineering and computer skills. Ask yourself, when you think about becoming an engineer, what is the leading edge of the technology? Where is the technology going? Is it related to gears and pulleys or to electronics and computers? Speaking specifically of engineering degrees, the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology, Engineering Accreditation Commission of ABET, accredits engineering programs across the nation. Today, there are 5 engineering schools in Georgia that offer ABET accredited engineering degrees. The original university that offered ABET accredited engineering was, of course, Georgia Tech. For many years, Georgia Tech was the only ABET accredited program in the state. Several years ago, the governor of the state of Georgia realized that many students who were not getting into Georgia Tech were leaving the state and going to Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, somewhere else in the country to get their engineering degrees. And the governor authorized several other colleges to start building engineering programs. Mercer University is a private school, has an outstanding engineering program, and that engineering program was founded in partnership with Robins Air Force Base just south of Macon, Georgia. And today, Robins Air Force Base employs many Mercer engineering graduates. The University of Georgia started a biological engineering program and an agricultural engineering program some years ago, but has recently been accredited to offer electrical, mechanical, and civil engineering. Georgia Southern was actually the first public institution to offer electrical, mechanical, civil engineering, and now also offers construction engineering, industrial engineering, manufacturing engineering, and are looking at several other engineering programs that are all ABET accredited. And Kennesaw State University, which merged recently with Southern Polytech State University, now offers ABET accredited electrical, mechanical, civil, and several other engineering degree programs. Today, you have 5 opportunities within the state of Georgia to earn an ABET accredited engineering degree. But engineering degrees are not the only opportunity to be a STEM professional. The state of Georgia has some outstanding other degree programs through the Technical College System of Georgia, through the University System of Georgia, in various universities, both public and private, around the state. There are information technology degrees available at many of the colleges and universities in the state. Information technology will be involved in various computer and software type STEM careers. There's engineering technology, which is a little different from engineering. They are still available at Savannah State and at Fort Valley State University. Then you have the technical college degrees that I mentioned a bit earlier. Various mechanics, automotive mechanics, diesel mechanics, welding. You have your HVAC degrees. There's a strong shortage of HVAC technicians around the state, and they make a pretty good salary. There's the medical degrees, radiology, dental technicians, EMTs, all sorts of medical opportunities that you can prepare for through the technical college system. You can also, while in high school, enroll in dual enrollment programs through the career academies that are across the state. And you can actually graduate from high school with college credits because of these dual enrollment programs. But in addition to engineering and technology, there are a wide variety of science degrees available at colleges and universities across the state of Georgia. Chemistry, biology, physics. There's computer science, which is a very high in demand career field that's available at many of the colleges and universities. The state of Georgia has a very proactive, very robust university system that manages all of the public universities, and the Technical College System of Georgia manages all of the technical colleges. Check those out. Learn what degree programs they have, what types of careers are available from those degree programs. And don't forget the private universities. Many times you can get an outstanding education from a private university. They will have a lot of scholarships that are not available to the public colleges. And it may not be that much more expensive to get a private university education than a public education from the university system or the technical college system. mentioned earlier that I was a retired engineer, civilian, from Robins Air Force Base, which is located about 30 miles south of Macon. Robins Air Force Base is the economic engine of Middle Georgia because there are over 20,000 employees working at Robins Air Force Base. It is the largest single industrial employer in the entire state. And currently there are over 1,500 civilian engineers and scientists, and that number is actually higher since I made this slide. Don't discount the possibility of working for the federal government. Good salaries, excellent benefits, trust me, good retirement benefits as well. What happens at Robins Air Force Base and what do civilians do there? Well, Robins Air Force Base is the maintenance depot for the C-130, C-5, C-17, and the F-15 aircraft. It performs maintenance, repair, and overhaul, often known as MRO in the industry, for these aircraft. These aircraft are beginning to show a little bit of age, and it takes some pretty good engineering skills to keep them operational. They also provide program maintenance, project management for drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, remotely piloted aircraft, project management for helicopters. All the helicopters in the Air Force are managed out of Robins Air Force Base. There's a section there of missiles and armaments. They do a lot of engineering for many of the ordnance that are used within the Air Force. A lot of electrical engineers, computer scientists are involved in intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, known as ISR, command and control. And then there's a lot of support equipment and vehicles, things that are on the ground that support the men and women who stand in the military, who are in uniform, that rely on the civilians to keep their support equipment and all the ground vehicles operational. And then there's the special operations, which I'm not allowed to talk about, but just know that they're there at Robins Air Force Base. There are many computer systems that are used by the Air Force with a lot of computer professionals, avionics, navigating these large aircraft. Electronic warfare, which is the spy stuff. It's the countermeasures. If you're flying in an aircraft and your equipment tells you that there's an incoming missile with a radar lock on your aircraft, you would very much like to have some electronics on board that will jam the signal that's guiding that missile, that enemy missile, to your aircraft. Maybe you could confuse it with some heat flares. Electronic warfare is the countermeasures that are used there, as well as some of the spy stuff. You've got radar, all the communications and radio, all the encryption, and the cybersecurity that keeps that aircraft from being controlled by enemies and keeps the data on that aircraft safe from enemy hands. All of these systems require engineers, technologists, STEM skills to keep these systems flying. That's why there are so many STEM professionals working at not only Robins Air Force Base, but many of the Air Force bases, Army facilities, Navy facilities, within the Department of Defense around the world. So as you consider your STEM careers, don't discount working for the federal government. Trust me, the benefits are very, very good. The job security is quite good. And notice at Robins Air Force Base, the ratio between civilians and military. There are far more civilians than there are military. So working at Robins Air Force Base does not necessarily mean you'll be wearing a uniform or carrying a gun. And just one more word about Robins Air Force Base. This slide is a bit dated. The numbers have changed somewhat. But you'll notice of all the career fields that you would think would be in an Air Force base, mechanical, aerospace, industrial, an Air Force base that does maintenance, repair, and overhaul for aircraft, You would think you'd have more mechanical and aerospace engineers, but notice that you've got more computer scientists than you do either mechanical or aerospace engineers, and by far more electrical and computer engineers. That's again because these aircraft are flying computers. The aircraft themselves may be old, but the electronics inside is cutting-edge technology. Encryption, communication, navigation, electronic warfare. As our enemies get smarter with their aircraft, we have to be smarter than them. And that is why there are so many electrical and computer engineers working not only at Robins Air Force Base, but throughout the Department of Defense. Just one final word about STEM in the Air Force and the Department of Defense. There's an almost insatiable need for civilian scientists and engineers, not only at Robins Air Force Base, but throughout the Department of Defense. You will see at just about every career fair that some branch of the federal government is looking to fill many engineering and scientist positions. Don't discount the possibility of working for the federal government because of the good salaries and excellent benefits and retirement benefits that are available. Most of the Department of Defense is looking for engineers, particularly electrical and computer engineers, with some mechanical, aerospace, and industrial, and a few other disciplines as well as scientists, primarily computer scientists involved in cybersecurity, environmental, and chemist. Those are very important to the defense of the nation. But even if you're not looking for a career working for the federal government, consider some of the programs for scholarships and the various internships and incentives that the Department of Defense might have. The SMART Scholarship in particular is a service type program, scholarship for service. That is, if you get a year scholarship, then you're required to work for the Department of Defense as a civilian for 1 year, 1 for 1. If it's a 4-year scholarship, which is very common, then you will be required to work for 4 years. The SMART Scholarship is highly competitive because it pays full tuition, your entire tuition for your STEM degree. It gives you a stipend for books. It gives you a stipend for living expenses. It provides some health insurance. It's a very lucrative, very rewarding scholarship program. And you see the website on the screen, dodstem.us, to learn more about the program. Typically, the application process opens in August to December each year, and the selections are usually made by March. But in addition to the SMART Scholarship, there are many around the country internship opportunities at various Department of Defense installations where you can earn money, gain experience, and do some pretty cool stuff while you are still in college. If you decide to come on board with the Department of Defense, many of the programs offer incentives, hiring bonuses. You can get some money for your postgraduate work, your graduate degrees, tuition assistance. The Palace Acquire program, PAQ, ask your college career fairs about the PAC program because they also offer internships and scholarships for graduate work, tuition assistance. The best advice I can give you, regardless of your interest in the Department of Defense or Air Force, is to talk to your career center at your campus. Whatever college, university you're at, as soon as you arrive on campus, go make friends with your career center because they can tell you where all the internships are, where all the jobs are. They can tell you what degrees are being hired the most. They have a wealth of information. It has pained me for years to have a parent call me. My son, my daughter, will be graduating from Georgia Southern University in his electrical engineering next month. How does my son, my daughter go about getting a job? Well, have you gone to any of the career fairs over the 4 years you've been on campus? No, just didn't see it as an important thing to do. Well, you have missed some great opportunities. It's not that it's too late, but you have probably missed the golden opportunity. Go to every career fair and make friends with your career center. Finally, as I close this presentation, I want to give you a few secrets to success. This kind of sums up what we've been talking about, but I want to foot stomp these particular items. You've got your career in front of you. You've got to make some decisions, and sometimes once you've made those decisions, it becomes more difficult to change them as you move on if you find something else. So make sure you have a passion for what you choose. Consider a career, your opportunities. Choose a career that you will enjoy, that will be a passion for you, that will give you personal satisfaction, that when you get to the end of that career, which will happen a lot sooner than you expect, you can look back and say that you made a significant contribution to life, to the world, to the society in which you live, and that you are proud of what you have accomplished. When you choose your career, choose something that you really will enjoy. Also, the potential of that career. Choose a career that has a positive supply and demand. Think about what the job market is like before you make that career choice. I've talked to so many students who get to the end of their college days and they'd studied something that they were interested in, but has absolutely no job market. In fact, one of the things that I often do is when I go to a restaurant and I have a server who looks like might be a college student. And so I ask, where are you going to school? And maybe they're about to finish, or they've already graduated, and they'll tell me what their degree was in, and I go, what in the world made you choose that? Well, I thought it would be cool, or I just thought it'd be fun. Well, what job did you think you would get with that degree? Well, I didn't really think about the jobs. You've wasted 4 years and all that money, and the best job you're going to get is serving tables. That's just a sad commentary. Consider the job market for the degree that you want. Make sure that there's a high demand for that degree, and there's a lot of people, a lot of companies, a lot of employers looking for employees with that degree. And then choose your education and develop your experiences, internships that prepare you for that job. All throughout your career, keep looking to learn more. Gain as much education as you can. Gain as much experience, expanding your horizons, expanding your skill sets. Because for the next job, the next opportunity, the next promotion, you will need additional education and experience. Always be building your resume for your next job. And finally, this is just something about life. Remember that all choices have consequences. Just like Newton's law that says for every action there is a reaction, for every choice you make, there will be a consequence. If you make good choices in life, then you'll likely have good consequences. If you make poor choices in life, the consequences may get in the way of you enjoying a good career. Before you make a choice, before you make a decision, consider, are you prepared for the possible consequences? One quick story. Several times I have interviewed a college student getting ready for graduation and further careers. And I do a little research or ask some questions, and turns out they've made some choices that might prevent them from getting a security clearance. Or they've posted some things on Facebook or Twitter or social media that might indicate they're not really a good fit for the employer that I'm recruiting for. And yes, you can excuse some youthful indiscretions, but some things are more difficult to excuse than others. You are the sum total of the decisions and the choices that you have made. And it's really sad to see someone who has so much potential but has made some choices and decisions where the consequence is less than pleasant. So we've walked through STEM careers and the education to prepare for those careers. I hope this has helped you at least think about some of the choices that you'll be making as you leave high school with the experience of robotics, that you will consider a career in STEM and the education that is necessary to get you there. Consider internships and the experiences that will look good on your resume as you prepare yourself for that first interview in your career. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help you. I'm happy to answer those questions. My email address is jcook@robbins21.org. As I said, the 21st Century Partnership is a community organization that enhances the military value of Robbins Air Force Base. It's been my pleasure to talk with you. I wish you all success in your career and enjoy the rest of the first symposium. Thank you.